You take about 20,000 breaths a day. But if you're like most people, your breath is quietly working against your brain. And in today's video, I'm going to show you why and how you can reset your brain by switching the way that you go about your daily activities, when you're seated, in particular, when you're working. The problem is that most people have this shallow, broken, choppy way of breathing. They don't realize it. They may be on the phone talking, then all of a sudden they're working and their breath is very shallow. And that's why at many events that I've done, I always say, who knows how to breathe? And everybody obviously raises their hand. But in reality, I say none of you know how to breathe because all of you breathe like animals. And it is not in a despective way. It's not in a negative way that I'm saying it. It's that animals breathe passively. And what I want you to learn is how you can breathe with power. And one of the things that we need to start removing is shallow breathing or mouth breathing. Both of them are going to keep your nervous system leaning towards stress all day without you even noticing. This is why, at the moment I'm recording this, I'm doing a video next week for the American Institute of Stress. And in that, the topic of that presentation is on digital stress. The stress that the majority population, if not all of the population, is undergoing in the digital age right now. It's a huge problem. However, there is hope. This is not a stress problem, a willpower problem. It's a mechanics problem. And mechanics can be fixed, as I'm going to show you today in this video. As usual, please, if you like this video at the end, please subscribe, give it a like, turn on your notifications. It really helps us to reach more people. Maybe share it with somebody that you think would benefit. And with that, let's get started here. All right. So remember, in some respects, we're breathing wrong 20,000 times a day, but it's very easy to fix. So there's two breathing mistakes that most people fall into, and they compound each other: mouth breathing and shallow breathing. Mouth breathing, a lot of people will say, I don't mouth breathe. But in reality, what happens is because we speak a lot, guess what happens? As I speak, I'm taking the breaths through my mouth. And that skips an important process that activates like kind of draws in with every breath nitric oxide through your nasal passages, through your sinuses. And that will help to increase oxygen uptake by about 10% relative to the mouth. You may think 10% is not significant, but it's very significant. The other thing is shallow breathing. We use stress muscles. You don't want to be breathing and with your chest kind of going up and down. You want to breathe with the diaphragm. And when I explain the protocol that I'm going to share, I'm going to show you how you can kind of get around that kind of upper breathing and use the diaphragm instead. In addition, I want to mention, related to recent videos I've done with regards to a drain. I had one last week for the hidden drain. This is a drain that cleans the brain, and sitting shuts it down. But breathing a certain way activates it and allows your brain to, in a sense, clean itself. This is critical because I've talked about the rise of attention deficit, autism spectrum related to technology. I am now talking about a rise that I see coming in the coming decades of early onset dementia, of Alzheimer's disease, cognitive decline, a lot of brain health issues. And you can activate this cleansing process through your breath, but you must activate the diaphragm to do so. So just keep that in mind. All right. When I get into the protocol, what I'm going to do is I'll kind of sit farther back from the camera so that I can illustrate this idea of how you can activate your abdomen rather than your chest, which you can currently see my hand here. But all right. So let me go back here. And so your nose, remember, is kind of like a chemistry lab. Your sinuses, it's not that they don't just produce nitric oxide, but as you breathe in, you're going to take some of that nitric oxide with you, which is known to widen blood vessels. There's ways in which you can take things such as beetroot juice, like beet juice, to be able to activate this as well. It's actually a great thing to do before you go work out or something of that sort. But that's kind of like a side note. Um, so you then can absorb more oxygen. And this is not just for your musculature, it's also for your brain. So nasal breathing is going to increase that oxygen uptake, and that oxygen uptake will then kind of give you like a supercharged effect. So I cite a Nature Medicine article here that talks about it. So breath to brain is the key here. One nerve linking the breath to the brain, which is the vagus nerve. That's the one that's often dysregulated. Dysregulated in psychiatric disorders, when we're stressed out, when we're working and we're going, doing. So what we want is slow, long exhales, which is going to start to regulate that vagus nerve, raise that heart rate variability, which is a measure of health, of calmness, a resilient, good nervous system. And then, of course, if I'm shallow, breathing faster, a little bit erratic, I'm out of sorts, I'm stressed, worried, then that's going to tip me over to the sympathetic. So the long, slow exhale is going to activate the parasympathetic, calmness, resilience, and the other one is going to activate the stress side. And even if it's low grade and you don't notice it, it has an effect because oftentimes it's switched on all the time. It's that digital stress that I mentioned earlier. So your exhale is your most direct lever to engage or manipulate your nervous system. In Zen Brain Academy, I also teach ways in which you can. It's almost like a master switch where you can use your breath in a specific way to act active, to turn yourself on and on, to bring yourself into balance. Really, really cool stuff. Highly recommend you try it. Try it for at least a month. It's free. It doesn't hurt you at all. All right. So the good news is that. Oh, the good news is that this shift can happen very quickly. A 22 study, even though it was in a small group of people, it's a meta-analysis, found that slow breathing reliably raised vagal mediated heart rate variability. A 2021 study showed a benefit in just a single session. So every slow nasal breath you take, you can tap into this. Just be more conscious as you're going about your day to pause, to tap into your breathing, to slow it down, to take deep inhales. If you join Zen Brain Academy, you can have different tools that you can use, that you can just use on your phone or on the computer to just quickly in a 5-10 minutes, boom, re-engage and then lock back in for another round of focus work. So you stack enough of these reps throughout the day, and calmness becomes the default mechanism. Why are most people stressed out? Because of their habits, what their rituals, what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. They don't do things that induce calmness. It's a skill. It's building reliable systems that you can tap into in a day-to-day basis. And this begins with consistency. You want a consistent practice. You can't just do it once and expect it to work. So what you want is breathing through the nose. You close your mouth and you default to nasal breathing. You want it to be done. You can do this throughout the day. You default on nasal breathing. You practice this sprinkle throughout the day to capture that nitric oxide. You enhance your exhale. By enhancing the exhale, you switch out of the sympathetic and into the parasympathetic. You start to regulate that vagus nerve. It starts to change your chemistry. You start to send different signals. And what I want to illustrate is this belly phenomenon. Remember, 5 minutes sprinkled here or there can make a huge difference. So let me stop sharing real quick. Let me back away a little bit here. So if you put your hand on your chest, on your abdomen, and also on your chest, let me see if I can let me stand up. And you then put it on your abdomen and your chest. What I want you to not do is the following. Don't pull up with the chest. Keep the hand here so that you notice as you're doing the breathing that the chest isn't moving. The abdomen is. So you can see my hand moving. Let me go on my tippy toes. And then, and you're doing this in a way that's accentuating the abdomen, not the chest. And by doing that, what it will do is it's going to facilitate this process. And I teach this in that brain cleansing pumping exercise. I call it like the brain pump. And in that breathing exercise video that I put out a few weeks ago, I teach how activating that diaphragm and it activates almost, it's almost like a pump. That pump, 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 it activates a lymphatic system that can help cleanse the brain. I do an inversion technique that I call my energy pump technique. It has a myriad of benefits, not just energy. And when I do this technique in the pool, where I hold my breath upside down in the pool, I can hear that pump working as the diaphragm starts to move. It starts to act on a organ that has loads of extra oxygen stored in it. It's similar to what a seal would do, and free divers tap into this as well, so that it creates a pumping mechanism that not only delivers oxygen, whatever oxygen is left, into the brain, but it facilitates that emptying or cleansing process as well. So it's really, really valuable. People, I think, need to really become aware of the problems that are coming, that they are already feeling without realizing, that are going to catch up to them eventually. Remember, daily practice, 5 minutes sprinkled throughout the day, maybe in the morning, midday, evening, is going to train your brain. It's going to start to switch you into a more calmer state. And you can use this at any moment to reset. Even 60 seconds can be huge. And you can do that before a stressful meeting, or in the middle of traffic. You're out of light, feeling frustrated, you haven't gotten to your destination. Tap into that breath. Don't allow the circumstances of life to throw you off. You're feeling a little tense, tap into it. You're going to feel your system downshift quickly in real time. The vagus nerve starts to respond and act on the periphery. So remember, if you need help, join ZenBrain Academy, free for a month. Subscribe to my newsletters in the description below. If you subscribe, I give you a copy of my book, Inside Out Calm. Free stuff. If you made it to the end, why not? Try it out. It doesn't hurt. It's free. Remember, the instrument that you need was in your face the whole time. All right. With that, I'll see you next week for the next video. Take care. Stay zen.